inter-Caribbean because the students went from Turks and Caicos. So I believe that the government could have done better, and we really understand that it's not the best situation for our students to be in. The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs made reference to a reduced cost. And I mean, you understand that, I mean, I've been a student, you have been a student, you're away from home. This is something that you just simply didn't cater for, whether
Students
it's your parents, you don't have money. And even if you do, we know that everything goes into chaos. So I mean, a reduced airfare, I mean that's really surprising, because during the finance debate, I mean, they talked about a 9 million increase in overseas travel in the office of the Prime Minister. So in a case like that, I mean, why would you even contemplate saying that you're offering a reduced fare to a student more than anything? Because that is something I believe that should be revenue foregone. That is something that the government should never think about, to bring home our students, that they should have to pay.
Is that the way past PNM administrations would have dealt with situations such as these?
I mean, yes, you send a charter. You normally send a charter. I mean, it's not the first time something like that has happened, and I'm sure it won't be the last. So I'm calling on the government that the students that have paid, I mean, they should be given a rebate. Of course, we hope it's not going to be like the property tax, where, you know, you promise, one says rebate, one says, you know, that's not clear. But I'm calling on them to look again at that policy as it relates to students paying. And for those who have paid, I mean, I think that is the kind of decision that I think all Trinidadians and Tobagonians will support the government for, which is to have the students return home and not to have to pay that fare.
Yeah. Madam Opposition Leader, let's deal with some other issues now. Of course, this is the top story on the front page of the Daily Express this morning. Let me just tell you what it says. Delcy moves immediately to suspend all agreements with TNT. And of course, they're speaking about the Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez. Kamala, I won't be blackmailed by Venezuela. The picture also shows, I don't know if you can see it there, but it's a caricature of the Prime Minister, and the caption says, Kamala caricature. Venezuelan protester displays a placard with a caricature of Prime Minister Kamala Bissau during a rally yesterday in Tucupita, Venezuela, to reject the statements of the TNT Prime Minister and the government's permission for the U.S. to dock a military vessel, the USS Gravely, in Port of Spain. Just to tell you that there is an update on this story. So it was reported yesterday that the Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, had suggested to the government of Venezuela that these contracts, these current between Trinidad and Tobago arrangements between Trinidad and Tobago, I'm seeing now, and it is reported suspended. Well, I'm seeing now, and it is reported by the Express today, that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has agreed to the suspension of all of these gas agreements between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. And the projects, according to the Express, that are going to be affected: Laura and Manatee, Kokuna, Mannequin, and Dragon. So that's the latest in connection with these rising tensions between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. Your response?
Well, I mean, I'm not really surprised. I mean, the concern, of course, is what are the consequences for Trinidad and Tobago? We know that in terms of oil and gas, that is still our greatest revenue generator, contribution to our GDP. And this is a situation, if you recall, I think it was last month that the Honourable Prime Minister went to the United States and returned and was celebrating, you know, the deal as it relates to the Dragon. Let's go back a couple of years ago when the Honourable Prime Minister said the Dragon is dead. We also heard them indicate, both the Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy, that they were actually going to Venezuela to negotiate. And now you have a situation where the President and the Minister of Energy is saying, that's it, we have cancelled all agreements. I am calling on the Honourable Prime Minister to address the nation as it relates to this matter. The main reason being, we are not really clear what is the position. It is okay for the Prime Minister to say that we don't need the gas from Venezuela. And we know that is absolutely false. The government is saying that you have other options. You have Guyana, you have Suriname. You would recall some time ago when the Honourable Prime Minister made reference to the fact that they can go to Guyana for oil and also Grenada. The President of Guyana made it very clear that there was no oil available for Trinidad and Tobago. This is all about a zone of peace. This is all about relationships. The CARICOM made it very clear that the best approach is conflict resolution. We understand the consequences to Trinidad and Tobago and the entire region if a war breaks out. As the opposition, we are very clear in our mind. We do not support human trafficking. We do not support narco trafficking. We do not support drug smuggling. But at the same time, Trinidad and Tobago has always been a signatory to international law. We understand the importance of sovereignty, and we are calling on the government to recognize the importance of CARICOM, the importance of this region remaining a zone of peace, and to revisit their very harsh and sometimes violent language and recognize that this situation requires diplomacy.
Yeah. Well, let me just share with you and viewers this morning the latest comments of the Prime Minister. So Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar does not plan to bow to any pressure from Venezuela, as she stressed that Trinidad and Tobago will not be blackmailed and is not dependent on any Venezuelan gas. She declared that no one, be it the Venezuelan government, the People's National Movement, CARICOM, or any other entity will pressure or blackmail her government into retreating from the fight against the drug cartels. And these statements were made just yesterday from the Prime Minister.
Well, as I said, we do not support drug cartels. There isn't a CARICOM country that supports drug cartels, but we recall, I think it was last year, when you had the issue between the Essequibo, between Guyana and Venezuela, and the role CARICOM played in resolving this matter. We must not only think about today, we must not only think about next year, we have to think about the next 20 and 30 years, because we understand the consequences of Trinidad and Tobago being isolated. We understand the consequences to our manufacturing industry, education, social development, sports, every single issue that you can think about, where CARICOM is involved and where we depend on the region. I mean, you look at the balance of trade between Trinidad and Jamaica, between Trinidad and any of the region or manufacturers, we depend on the region. And therefore, if we take the position, as was done a couple of years ago, Trinidad is not an ATM machine, and, you know, as the Prime Minister said some time ago, you have the right to say what you want, I have the right to say what I want. As a vulnerable island, as a small island developing state, we simply cannot, and it's not advisable to take that kind of approach.
You feel, yeah, and just touching on that again, you feel that the posture taken by the Prime Minister has been too aggressive, and because of that has put various arrangements and relationships.
The SEA tuition course. The SEA tuition course gives young scholars all the tools they need to excel in all subject areas. Step-by-step solutions, a complete and accurate marking scheme, creative writing tips, and a tuition and revision section to help them stay sharp. Plus, with a subscription to the Express e-paper, access to past practice papers is available at any time. So whether it's via the physical paper or the e-paper, the Express continues to lead the way every Tuesday.
The Kirab Pentecostal Empowerment Ministries International of 27 McDonald Street, Kirab, Trinidad, West Indies presents Empowerment Through the Word. Come with us as we affect humanity with the life transfer.
Together our civil rights and surround this world, just as we built at nights who got full control. But if it is we fear to trust and guardians be to protect us.
All right, everybody, so welcome back. Of course, we are continuing our conversation this morning with Opposition Leader Pennelope Beckles. Ma'am, thank you very much for staying with us for a few more minutes. You know, as we look at what would have transpired over the past few weeks, read the situation between Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, and the United States. And my position has been that I thought that and these are my words, that the Prime Minister had taken a gamble. In the context, if we go back to a few weeks ago, she was speaking about these tariffs, the 15% tariffs. And of course, you have the problem of Forex in Trinidad and Tobago. You have the problem